So we take this energy of knowing that the power, the presence, the life, the very essence and breath itself of the divine is in this place, in this very moment. It is alive within each of us to the extent that we open ourselves and make it welcome. So as we move into this time where we bring our attention inward, where we let go of, for a little while, all of the external activities that have brought us to this moment, and we loosely let go of any thoughts about what this day may hold for us, and bring ourselves fully into this awareness of that divine presence, alive within each of us and connecting us one to another. If you haven't already, you might want to just allow your eyes to slowly shut down so that you can bring all of your attention to this inner space of your being. And there comes a time in every spiritual journey where we begin to shift from asking what life can give to me and begin being willing to ask, how can my life become a blessing? How can I be that gift that the world is in such desperate need of? It's a subtle shift, but it begins to change everything. Instead of striving, we can begin to serve. Instead of controlling, we can begin to trust. Instead of wondering whether we are enough, we can simply become available. So imagine that in this moment you are standing before that infinite presence, the divine love that created you, that knows you, and that delights in expressing itself through you. There's nothing that you need to prove or that you need to earn. There's only this loving presence waiting for your willingness. So if you're ready, I invite you to just silently affirm within your own being the invitation to Spirit of use me. Use me. Use me to bring kindness where kindness is needed. Use me to speak words that heal rather than divide. Use me to listen with compassion, to notice those who feel unseen, to bring hope where fear has taken root. Feel these words moving from that thinking part of you in your mind down into your heart, to that place where that energy of love is able to move and to express. You do this not as an obligation, but rather as an invitation. The divine will never force its way into this world. It expresses itself through willing hearts. So today, that invitation is to allow your heart to join that force of ones that are willing to be love in action. Allow this to fill your whole body with an energy that is warm, that is filled with light, that reflects the true essence of who you are. And know that this light is not just for you. It naturally shines outward, without effort, without striving. Now take just a moment to imagine the people you will encounter today. Perhaps it's family or friends, maybe even the strangers that you will encounter. And see yourself meeting each one with this quiet prayer already alive within you. Use me. Use me to express that divine love through a smile. To meet each moment with your patience, your words, your presence. And now let this prayer become even simpler. With each inhale, receive, be filled with divine love. And with each exhale, offer it freely out into the world. Being replenished with that energy of divine love with every breath in, and knowing it can never be depleted as you offer it freely to the world around you. Breathing in, fill me. Breathing out, use me. Fill me with your divine love. Use me as your vessel to share it with the world. And remember, as this day unfolds, that simple prayer with every breath. Fill me, use me. And celebrate the ways in which those ripples of divine light and love express in ways that we may never even know into our world. And as you take another deep breath and allow that breath to bring you back to the awareness of this time and space, the sounds in the room, the chair that's supporting you. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. So this morning, as you can tell, we're going to do the message and the way it flows today a little bit different. And that is because we have a very special guest in the house who's here to share the spiritual truths that she has discovered during, well, it's a lifetime worth, but specifically in these last 15 plus years in this adventure of writing a book. The book that ultimately she called A Secret of Life. And I love the subtitles because those help you even really get the feel for what this book is all about. Helping you achieve your soul's earthly purpose and destiny. How many think you've got an earthly purpose, destiny, that you're here for some particular reason? Yes? Some of you still on the fence about that? That's okay too. And then it's also, as she puts it, an invitation to step into the divine spotlight. How many of you are ready for that? Ready or not? We're going to start this morning. So I'm going to invite you to help me welcome up to we're going to have a little conversation going on here this morning. Vivienne Louis to our stage. Thank you. We're going to come right there. All right. So just a little background here. I met Vivienne a couple years ago. She has been a longtime member at Unity on Greenville Avenue in Dallas, and a long-term truth student, both of Unity principles and practices and of A Course in Miracles. I know that's been a really central part of your life. And I got to know her through 2 different years of their prayer chaplain, what we call care team. They call it their prayer chaplain training, where they were without a minister for a couple years. So I was helping to fill in there where I could, and got to know her still in mid-process of the creation of what seems to be the end product, but really has been an ongoing, I think, journey of your own spiritual growth and unfoldment, which it seems like whenever we step out to do something, that's something we can always be sure we're going to get. So, and as I read your book, I realized that our journeys were similar in a lot of ways, and perhaps that's true with a lot of people out here, is that especially in those early years, there was a lot of writers who influenced my own understanding and my own spiritual journey. And you reference a lot of different spiritual writers in here that I went, I remember that back in the 80s and in the 90s, reading some of those books and awakening new ways of thinking about things. Even before I ever got to Unity, I was on the path with many of these different writers. So I know we've had similar influences in the way that we understand ourselves and understand life and our own spiritual foundation with that. But you write in the book that a huge turning point in your life was being able to fully embrace and to fully embody Oprah's Use Me prayer that just sort of popped into your awareness again in 2007 after you had initially felt its influence in your life, seeing it on TV at that time, which was very groundbreaking in 1998 when Oprah was getting her Lifetime Achievement Award, and this was her acceptance speech that I think not only touched your heart, but many hearts in how we embrace that. So I wanted to play that video real quick, and then we're going to let you talk about that on the other side, all right? You're going to get big subtitles.
Thank you. This is certainly one of life's full circle moments for me because it's so true. We are all beacons of light for each other, and I'm grateful that Barbara Walters was there for me to see that beacon of light to become all that I could be today. Thank you, Miss Barbara. Thank you. I want to thank the Harpo family, and I want to thank the King World family. I want to thank everybody who has nurtured me, who stood in the gap for me. Stedman, you're the sweetest man. With the greatest integrity, thank you for helping me to be everything that I am and all that is to come. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Maya. Thank you all. From the beginning, being a colored, then Negro, then Black, then African-American child, growing up in Mississippi, my prayer was, for as long as I can remember, God, use me. use me, use this life. I don't know what the future holds for me, but I know that there is a vision for my life that is greater than my imagination can hold. Use me, use me. What would you have me to do? And that dream, that desire, that prayer brought me somehow to television. And to be able to use this tremendous vehicle of television to go into people's homes and somehow be able to touch their lives and to be the beacon that Barbara was for me, to be a light of hope and understanding, to share some sense of illumination that maybe sometimes reflects people's lives and sometimes opens them up to themselves, is the greatest blessing God could have given me. And I want to continue to use television as we become more polarized in this medium. I choose to use it in whatever way I can, we can, to make people lead better lives, to lead them to the highest vision possible for themselves. That is the goal. I thank you for this award because it encourages me to run on and see what the end will be. Thank you.
Yeah, so you said that was a big catalyst for you in this journey of writing this book. Can you share a little bit about that?
Well, first I want to say one thing I've learned on this journey is that there's always a big event. Something major happens on this journey before we make major changes. And so in '04, I realized my daddy had Alzheimer's. And so I lived in Houston for 30 years. At that time, I owned a salon and barber studio. And so when I realized in '04 my daddy had Alzheimer's, nothing meant nothing. I had my dream car, a nice home. I loved my salon and barber studio, but nothing meant nothing. And so I sold everything quickly, and I moved back to Denver where my daddy was. Well, in '07, I came back to Dallas where my son was. And I'd always written down my goals and focused on my goals, but I couldn't get my footing. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And so I remembered Oprah said, I asked God to use me. And so I wrote a goal and I asked God to use me. And I read that goal and focused on it. And so then in '07, in '09, my daddy passed. And so my daddy was a black cowboy. And black cowboys have swag, okay? And so the video was awesome. People were so fascinated by the video. So at the repast, 2 people came up to me and said, you should write a book. And so I thought, oh yeah, I can do that. I can write a book about Daddy. And then I realized the book was to heal me. And I was like, oh, come on. God, I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer, okay? And so then I knew I was supposed to do it. And so that was in April, the repast. And then August the 15th, '09, that morning when I woke up, the title, You Are Good Enough, was in my head. And I knew that was my title. And I was like, oh, Lord. But I knew I had to do it. And so I listened to my guidance. I did everything I was supposed to do. And then in 10, I started writing. Okay? Well, on that journey, I met Robert, taking a course in miracles. And I did everything I was guided to do. And then in 2020, COVID. I had been writing for 10 years. I was stuck at home. I said, okay, God, I'm sick of this book. I want this book done by the end of this year. I'm tired of it. Well, I studied the course diligently because I knew that was what I was supposed to do. And then at the lockdown, around April, I wrote down that goal. And well, I got the message, focus on lesson 73 every day and write a goal based on lesson 73. Lesson 73 is, I will there be light. And so I wrote down my goal and I focused on it every day. And my guidance was to read you're in lockdown, read that goal every 2 hours. I did it. September 2020, I'm walking early one morning and the whole book fell into my head. But it wasn't You Are Good Enough. It was A Secret of Life. And my message was, this is your book. I experienced light. The whole book was there. It was based on lessons 73, 74, and 75. Lesson 73 is, I will there be light. Let me behold the light which reflects God's will and mine. And so when we experience light, we experience God's will. We experience God's kingdom of good. We experience what is ours. The whole book fell into my head. And in my research, I discovered that, I'm going to be honest, being Black, born in the 50s, I didn't know that Black people and white people experienced success in the same way. I didn't realize that the universal law was the same for everybody. I didn't realize it. And so I'll give you an example of light. Henry Ford and the V8, I think it was, engine. I have the story in my book. He told his engineers, I want an engine on one block. And he went to them and they said, it can't be done. He said, I want it. 6 months passed. He went to them, how's the progress? It can't be done. I want it. Keep working on it, I want it. A year. They all said, all the engineers said, it's impossible, it cannot be done. About 6 months later, as if magic, they discovered it. They experienced light. Barry Gordy, he tells his story about light. Barry Gordy was born and raised in Detroit. He loved music. He loved jazz. He opened a jazz store. Well, the majority of the Black people in Detroit had come from the South to work, and they didn't want to hear the jazz. They wanted the blues, but he was going to sell them the blues. So consequently, he went bankrupt. So he had to get a job. So he got a job at Ford Motor Company, and he said that he experienced that a car starts at this end as a frame, and it goes all around the assembly line, and it comes out a Lincoln. And he said experienced light. He knew, I can do that with people. And everybody was like, you're crazy. He said, no, I've got this idea. And so he and Smokey Robbins established Motown, and it was like an assembly line for artists. They came in, they wrote and produced their music, they choreography, like the Supremes. He had a charm school. He made them these glamour. It was like an assembly line. So they came in, basically from the ghetto, went through the assembly line, came out these superstars. So
I'll let you take breath for a second here, because I do have something I want to ask you about that I think is real central in your book, and you were talking about how it is central to the actual manifestation of something, and you call it the universal law of three. I'm wondering if you can...
has anyone heard of the universal law of three? Okay. When I bring it up, people get confused. But three things have to happen in order for something to happen. So like with me, number one, okay, I like to use the example, I used the example in my book of Craig Watkins. You may remember when Dallas elected the first black DA, Craig Watkins. And he established the unit to look at wrongful convictions. And so, okay, now think about it. Okay, three things have to happen before anything happens. Okay, so number one is the motivating force. So the first force is the motivating force. So the convicted person who's wrongly convicted, their motivating force is they want to be set free, okay? So that's the motivator. Okay, the second force is there's always, I can't remember called, but there's always a resistance force. That's the second force. So the second force was they were wrongly convicted. So in order for that conviction to be overturned, a third thing had to happen. And so the third thing that happened was the DA evidence. So usually the third force is invisible. So all of these men were so the first force was they were wrongly convicted. The negating force was the first force was they wanted to be set free. The negating force was the wrongful conviction. But then the third thing that happened was the DA evidence, which was invisible. So like with me, my motivator was I wanted to write a book. Okay. The negating force was I didn't have a book to write. But I didn't. I had an idea, and I did everything I was guided to do, but I didn't have a book. And so I didn't know. I was asking that the law of three be actualized, but the third force was the light. And so when we're praying for something, to be undone or whatever, we're usually praying for light. We've all experienced light. Like anytime you have experienced your intuition, that's light.
I almost see it as, and this may be another way to look at it too, it's that third force is almost what we might call the Holy Spirit. You could call it light. You could call it God's will, sort of inserting itself and being the activator that that moves it. And I also think it is our opportunity. I was talking a couple weeks ago about both and. It's not just either or. And, the first two sets up an either or kind of environment. It's like we want something. There's things that seem to be negators in that or doesn't allow us to make movement. But then there's this third ingredient, some kind of catalyst that comes along that becomes the activation of the expression with it. And we have to have both. Otherwise, it's like we're trying to get the one that we want to have more power over the negating force that's out here. But really what we're looking for is something to emerge between the two almost. There was an example I saw about this that You have one person in a relationship who wants to change, and one person who wants things to remain stable. And this often happens, but so you're sort of at this crossroads or this inertia, if you will, because you've got these two forces sort of keeping neither from moving anywhere. And what maybe seeking is not one or the other. It's not like, well, the person who wants change is going to win, so change is going to happen, or the person who wants it. But if you allow it, this third force is the energy that allows you to see how both can be true, how both can be fulfilled, how both can find. The third force becomes something that creates something new, if you will, something that wasn't there before, that actually brings it into some way that then begins to bless the world.
And this morning, someone shared to me that they were transformed from whatever addiction. I would say that the 12 steps also helps actualize the law of three, for sure.
Right.
Because when people are healed.
Well, we've got the two. You've got that desire, but you've also got what has been in the way of that. And somehow there is a way to, that third factor can bring you through it.
And I would say that third factor is light, because they see themselves and everything differently.
Through that new lighted perspective. Yeah, perfect.
And there's a book based on the course. It's called Journey Beyond Words. And it says that light is the experience. Light is not something to learn. Light is something to experience. It's the experience.
And I think in that experience, we're going to wrap it up here. That's where I'm going to say the miracles actually start to. They seem like miracles. They seem like something that's come out of nothing, but it is really just the light.
That's there.
Being turned on, being actualized into our world. All right. Well, thank you, Vivienne.
Thank you.
So, yep. And it is our opportunity now to share of our financial good with this ministry. We are so grateful for the many ways in which we receive our good that allows us to do all that's ours to do, pay all the bills, and to dream about how it is that we're going to continue to grow and to discover all that we can be here at Center of Unity. So let us take what we offer today into our hands, into our hearts, as we join together and bless it. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God.
Folks, we are going to stand up. We're going to make a large circle around the auditorium, and we are going to sing our peace song.
Take a moment, look around, see the light. in each person in this circle and bless them as they go out and share it with the world as we go, knowing our prayer for protection. We'll do it as call and response. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Together, wherever we are, God is, and all is well.